What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Post. Today, we're diving deep into the rich history and vibrant significance of Pride Month. We'll explore its origins, monumental events, and courageous individuals that paved the way for LGBTQ plus rights, and the enduring relevance of Pride Month to both LGBTQ community and society as a whole. Join us as we honor the past, celebrate the present, and look forward to a future of inclusivity, acceptance, and love. Whether you're a member of the LGBTQ plus community, an ally, or simply curious to learn more, this episode is for you. Let's celebrate Pride Month together. So first, I want to talk about the history of Pride Month, and I want to highlight some key milestones, starting with the Stonewall Riots in 1969. The Stonewall Inn was a gay bar in New York City, and it became the site of a spontaneous, violent demonstration by members of the LGBTQ plus community against a police raid. The riots were widely considered to be the catalyst for the modern LGBTQ rights movement in the United States. Moving on to the first Pride Parade in 1970, so 1 year after the Stonewall Riots took place, the first Pride Parade happened in New York City to commemorate the anniversary of the riots to advocate for LGBTQ plus rights. This marked the beginning of Pride celebrations and around the world. And I do want to say, just for the purposes of language and keeping consistency with the tone of the episode, I realize there are many ways to refer to the LGBTQ plus group. Being a member myself, I'm very sensitive to that, but for the purposes of this series, we're going to stick to that specific combination of letters and symbols, not to exclude anyone whatsoever, but just to make that a more streamlined delivery. And we want to include absolutely everybody in all of our messaging, but just in terms of labeling this community, we're just going to give it the shorter LGBTQ plus label. So let's talk about decriminalization of homosexuality. Throughout the 70s and 80s, many countries began to decriminalize homosexuality, overturning laws that criminalized same-sex relationships.
So one thing that I really don't understand about the US is like their big laws that are different from state to state. And like one of the biggest being their gay marriage laws. Like if you get married in a state where it is legal for same-sex couples to get married, and then you move to a state where it's not, does your marriage suddenly become invalid?
Yes.
That makes no sense to me.
Agreed.
When it's still within the country that you live in, that you're a citizen in, it's not so easy to say, yeah, I'm not going to move from state to state, because maybe your job moves and that's where you end up needing to go. And yeah, the fact that such a big part of your life can suddenly become illegal where you live because you needed to move there for work or whatever other reasons just blows my mind.
Yeah, it's a bit bananas. I have never really understood how some things can be accepted some places and not others, when it's just, we're just people, man. We're just people.
Yeah.
I'm still the same person, whether I'm here or 10 miles from here, still the same person. Let's cover a little bit. Let's go back to the timeline. We're in the 80s and 90s now, talking about the AIDS crisis. So the HIV and AIDS epidemic disproportionately affected the LGBTQ plus community, leading to significant activism around healthcare, HIV/AIDS awareness, and advocacy for LGBTQ plus rights. And you're probably a bit young, and probably I'm a bit young to remember how scary it was at the height of the AIDS epidemic. But we have a lot of homage to pay to our elders who lived through that time and advocated for us today. And we're also going to talk about that elder advocacy at a later time. LGBTQ plus rights legislation. So throughout the 20th and 21st centuries, the late 20th and early 21st centuries, various countries passed legislation aimed at protecting the rights of LGBTQ plus individuals, including anti-discrimination laws, hate crime laws, and the legalization of same-sex marriage, which I like to call marriage. LGBTQ plus activists around the world have fought for recognition, visibility, and equality, leading to advancements in LGBTQ plus rights in many countries around the world. So not just a few, but many countries. And you'll find yourself, if you are a person in this community, you'll find yourself traveling throughout the world, discovering that there are more places where you can find connections and your community sort of everywhere. But you do have to be careful, like you said, because there are a lot of places where it's still illegal to be you if you are part of the queer community.
Yeah, that's so sad.
Yeah.
It hurts my heart.
And lastly, in the timeline of Pride history, I want to talk about Pride Month, because that's why we're having this whole series. So the establishment of Pride Month happened in 1999 as Bill Clinton declared June Gay and Lesbian Pride Month in the United States, marking a significant official recognition of LGBTQ plus pride and activism. And over time, this evolved into Pride Month, which is now celebrated globally as a time to honor LGBTQ plus history, culture, and achievements. And I don't know about you, but I love Pride season because for me, it's just a chance to really find your people out there. We become a lot more visible. We become a lot more comfortable being social and being out there. And for me, it's just such a great time to see people happy and authentically themselves, which obviously we love authenticity. And I love when Disability Pride rolls around too, because I love to talk about the intersection, which we're also going to talk about as this series unfolds. We're going to have 2 episodes on intersectionality that I'm super psyched about. So I want to explore the meaning of pride, what it means in the context of Pride Month. So in simple terms, pride during Pride Month means a few different things. Pride as a self-affirmation and acceptance of one's identity. So it's about feeling good about who you are, especially for LGBTQ plus folks. It's a time to embrace yourself fully and confidently, even when the world might not always accept you. So for LGBTQ plus people everywhere, it's a time for us to just be us. And if we're not comfortable there, it's a great time for us to have conversations with people to get us comfortable. Pride as a celebration of LGBTQ plus culture, history, and achievements. It's a big celebration of LGBTQ plus culture, history, and achievements. That's what this is. So think parties, parades, and festivals where everyone comes together to honor the diversity and resilience of this amazing community. And finally, Pride as a call to action for equality, justice, and social change. So it's a reminder that there's still a lot of work to be done for equality and justice. Pride is also about standing up against discrimination and pushing for change to make sure everyone, no matter who they love or how they identify, gets the same rights and respect. And, you know, we tout the same things in the disability community where we just want everyone to be seen as being valued for who they are, which is, again, why I love Pride Month. So I want to touch just a little bit on intersectionality. And again, we're going to have another couple of episodes more focused on it, but I think it's important to talk about in the context of overall Pride Month. So we're going to explore how intersectionality shapes individuals' experiences of discrimination, privilege, and inclusion within the LGBTQ plus community and society at large. The term intersectionality was coined by Kimberly Crenshaw, and it acknowledges that individuals hold multiple social identities, such as race, gender, sexuality, and disability, that intersect and shape these experiences of privilege and discrimination. So an example would be a Black transgender woman may face discrimination based on her race, gender identity, and transgender status, creating really complex and overlapping forms of oppression. Solidarity and allyship are crucial within the LGBTQ plus community and society at large. Recognizing and understanding the intersecting identities and experiences of LGBTQ plus individuals is essential for building communities and advocating for equality. This means standing in solidarity with marginalized groups, listening to their experiences, amplifying their voices, and taking action to address systemic inequalities. Ultimately, embracing diversity, acknowledging intersectionality, and fostering solidarity are essential for creating a more inclusive and equitable society for all LGBTQ plus individuals, regardless of their intersecting identities.
Yeah, there's a lot of intersectionalities within the between the disability community and the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
And then like you mentioned, then you add somebody's race into that and it creates a whole different experience.
Yeah, completely. And one that no one else who doesn't have that same intersectionality could possibly understand. Like you just cannot get in the mind. So it's really important to recognize and talk about that. Let's move on and talk about Pride Month events and traditions, because this is when it gets really fun. We're going to talk about Pride Months and events sort of around the world. So parades, marches, and festivals. We'll start there. Pride parades are perhaps the most iconic events of Pride Month, where LGBTQ plus individuals and allies come together to celebrate and advocate for equality and acceptance. These parades often feature colorful floats, music, dancing, vibrant displays of LGBTQ plus pride, and a lot of SF just like going bananas with silent joy. Major cities around the world host their own pride parades, including New York City, San Francisco, London, Sydney, Sao Paulo, among many others, Vancouver, Toronto, hello. LGBTQ plus film festivals, art exhibitions, and culture events. So Pride Month also showcases artistic and cultural contributions to the LGBTQ plus community through film festivals, exhibitions, and other cultural events. LGBTQ plus film festivals such as Frameline in San Francisco and Outfest in Los Angeles screen films that explore LGBTQ plus themes and stories. Art exhibitions and cultural events highlight LGBTQ plus artists, musicians, writers, and performers, providing platforms for the work to be celebrated and recognized. Also during Pride Month, there is a great time to discuss community outreach programs, activism, and advocacy efforts. So Pride Month is not just about celebrating. It's not just about recognizing the past and being happy for what we've got now. It's a time for community outreach, activism, and advocacy. LGBTQ plus organizations and community groups often organize events such as panel discussions, workshops, and fundraisers to raise awareness about LGBTQ plus issues and to support individuals in need. These events may focus on topics such as LGBTQ rights, healthcare access, youth support, transgender rights, among others. And I'm sure this year there's going to be quite the display or quite the variety of options to learning. I mean, we're coming out of the pandemic. We're a couple of years, I wouldn't say we're coming out of the pandemic, but we're coming out of that panic portion of the pandemic where we all had to stay isolated. And, you know, these events have grown in size over the last couple of years as we started to see and people are talking more. And so I have a strong feeling that there's going to be a lot more of these really great in-depth discussions happening specifically this year. Pride events are pivotal for LGBTQ plus community, fostering visibility, solidarity, and community building. They provide visible platforms for individuals to express themselves, challenging societal norms and combating discrimination. These events unite LGBTQ plus individuals and allies, fostering solidarity across diverse backgrounds and identities. Moreover, they serve as hubs for community building, allowing people to connect, share experiences, and access support networks that maybe they didn't know existed before. Participation in Pride events empowers individuals to celebrate their identities openly, reclaim their narratives, and advocate for LGBTQ plus rights year-round. In essence, these events create inclusive spaces where people can connect, celebrate, and work toward a more equitable society. And they do it in a fun way. I want to talk about some of the challenges and opportunities that have arisen and do arise. The LGBTQ community continues to face significant challenges despite advancements in rights and visibility. LGBTQ plus individuals, we still encounter discrimination in various aspects of our lives, including employment, housing, healthcare, and education. Hate crimes against LGBTQ people, particularly transgender individuals, remain a significant concern. Addressing these issues requires concerted efforts to combat discrimination and promote inclusive policies and practices. So we need our allies to step up and step in. Another challenge is faced is disparities in healthcare, employment, and education. So LGBTQ plus people often face disparities in access to healthcare, employment opportunities, and educational resources. Discrimination and lack of understanding among healthcare providers can lead to pretty significant barriers in accessing affirming and culturally competent healthcare. It's not always easy to find a supportive healthcare provider, and it's literally putting your life in someone else's hands. So you need someone that you can trust. In the workplace, LGBTQ plus individuals may encounter discrimination from in hiring, promotion, and workplace culture. Additionally, kids are seeing bullying and harassment in education settings, not just elementary and high schools, but this is starting to happen, or not starting, but it's really on the rise in universities as well. Advances in LGBTQ plus and legal protections. There have been significant advances in LGBTQ plus rights and legal protections in many parts of the world. Marriage equality, anti-discrimination laws, and recognition of gender identity are some notable achievements. However, these gains are not universal, and LGBTQ plus people still lack legal protections in many areas. Moreover, backlash against LGBTQ plus rights remains a concern in some regions, many regions, highlighting the need for continued advocacy and vigilance. The fight for LGBTQ plus equality and social justice requires ongoing advocacy, activism, and allyship. LGBTQ plus organizations and activists play a crucial role in advocating for policy changes, raising awareness about LGBTQ plus issues, and providing support to the community. Allyship from individuals and organizations outside of this community is also essential in advancing equality and creating inclusive environments. We need our allies to step up and help amplify our voices. We need them to step up to challenge discriminatory practices. We need them to step up and actively support LGBTQ plus rights initiatives. So for all of our allies out there who are doing this and continue to do this on a daily basis, thank you so much. I can't stress enough how much we rely on our supporters and how much we love our supporters. And the LGBTQ plus community wouldn't be as strong as we are without that amplification. So in summary, while there have been significant strides in LGBTQ plus rights and visibility, challenges like discrimination, disparities, and legal inequalities persist. Continued advocacy and activism and allyship are crucial in addressing these challenges and advancing LGBTQ plus equality and social justice. That does it for this episode of The Pulse. Join us next time for part 2 in our 4-part Pride series. As always, if you have questions or ideas you'd like us to discuss, or if you want to be a guest on the show, send an email to voa@pacificautismfamily.com. We look forward to more of your great questions. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.